Up next is another edition of Phantom Features. The topic today is the Purple Press, Phoenixville High School's student newspaper. Tyler Mitchell sits down with Mr. John Zattel, the newspaper advisor, to discuss the process of putting together a monthly publication and to give us a look at what readers can expect this year. All of that coming up right now.
Hi, Mr. Zattel. Let's talk about the Purple Press today.
Thanks, Tyler.
What can students look forward to this year when reading the Purple Press?
Well, being that our first edition has just come out, what students can look forward to is our many articles involving people, such as page 2, none other than Tyler Mitchell, right there. Okay, so yeah, we could talk about you and lots of the other people. Like in the first issue, we cover new teachers, we cover sports, we talk about the tennis team, the golf team. We have some opinion articles, a little point-counterpoint about Mischief Night, whether or not students should actually partake in that, really. There's also some news, of course, a speak-out question about what's the most ridiculous thing you ever got when trick-or-treating, some really funny answers in there. We like to feature an artist on the back of each edition. Shanice Mercado does some great work, and we feature some of her artwork there. And there's some other fun things in there, and it varies issue to issue, but those are the main topics that we cover. People, entertainment, sports, fun stuff, opinion, front page. This is about the Harlem Wizards. So we got a lot of variety.
Well, some may say that as a career option, the newspaper is a dying field. With that thought in mind, how do you approach this class?
Newspaper definitely is a dying field in the sense that people don't buy newspapers as much as they do or did. But it's still something people need to know. They need to know what's going on. And also, writing is such an important skill that this is the kind of class that everybody can enjoy and really gain something from. Yet, at the same time, it's hard sometimes to get people to read the papers because so many people just get their news online now. They just get emails or just information quickly through their phones, and they don't take the time to look at a paper. So it's just something that is definitely a struggle over the years as we get people to realize that this is still a very critical way to get information across. And it can still be fun, so that's why we put a lot of stuff in the newspaper that is funny to gain people's attention. And then when they get in the paper, they can see the other stuff that's also very good to know, whether it just be news or opinions. And as we're going ahead, we're going to see if we can find more ways to make it go online. If I can find some ways to get people to help me make the paper more interactive online and find ways to put it on there. But I'm really fortunate, and the class is fortunate, that the district prints our paper. I mean, the fact that they will put out the money to print this for us so that it can go out for people to physically pick up and read, I'm very appreciative, and I know that most people, when the papers are handed out in class, in English class, they do suddenly start to look at it and they like it. So, you know, it's something that we're continuing to do, even though I know that it's something that is harder to go into now because of the physical paper, but it's something that I think is important, and we're going to keep going.
Well, you mentioned the internet in that answer. What impact can you say that digital media has on publishing the newspaper?
As you guys know, most people nowadays just go right to the internet, just get all their information instantly. They don't have to wait for the next day's paper, or in this case, the next month's paper, to find out anything that's going on. So it makes immediacy of the internet makes news so much more in the moment. You can get a tweet and find out what happened. You know, if a sports star got injured, you know about it right away. You don't have to wait till the next day to find out the news. So we can't cover instant news like that. We have to kind of cover more broad stories and cover, say, a sports team's season and feature a person and in depth what they've done. We can't cover day-by-day news because all that now is done through digital media. So the features that we cover in here are the kinds of things that are not something that you need to know day to day, but they're features that you could read a month from now and they're still interesting. So if someone wants to read, for instance, the article about you a month from now, it's still going to be just as interesting then as it is right now. So, you know, we have to do our paper a little bit differently than a daily paper might do or anything that's publishing direct to the internet.
Well, you mentioned there are some challenges with putting out the newspaper. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about some other challenges that you have publishing a monthly student newspaper?
Well, one of the things that's the biggest obstacle, although thankfully so far not this year, is timeliness. I mean, when you are publishing something that has due dates and needs to be out on time, students need to get their work done on time. And some students over the years kind of let due dates be something that's not really that important to them. I have to have this article in by Wednesday. Yeah, I'll get it in. Well, it's got to be in because we have to edit it, and we got to get the paper laid out, and it's got to get printed. We got to get everything out by a certain date, or the news gets very, very old. So due dates, number one importance. And some people don't really appreciate the importance of due dates. But let's face it, in the real world, if someone's not turning in their work on time, they get fired. I can't do that in our class, but I can take points off. But in reality, people who aren't keeping up and aren't doing their job and working together are really pulling down their weights. They're not helping. So those are the kind of people that I recommend not working in this type of class, because I want people who are energetic and really want to go out and find out the stories and get everything done, get it in timely, and actually be proud of what they write. Because let's face it, people are reading these articles, and they're going to speak to these people who wrote them, say, hey, I love that article. Or they'll say, oh, you messed that one up. So everyone should take pride in their work, because it's not just turned into a teacher, it's turned out to everybody. 1,000 people could read this article about you today.
So you mentioned a lot about the students involved in the newspaper. How many would you say there are involved with it, and what are some of the roles that they play?
This year's class has about 20, which is good. And the primary role would be the person who actually lays everything out. And this year it's Amanda Hosiash. She's a senior. And she is phenomenal. I mean, it's her first year doing layout. She just picked it up so quickly. Because imagine getting all these articles and pictures. You get them in a Word file, but you have to put them into the actual paper. We use Microsoft Publisher. So she needs to be able to physically figure out where the articles go, how they look, where the pictures should go. And that takes a lot of time to actually make it pleasing. Because if you lay it out poorly, articles can get cut off. There could be mistakes, not to mention typos, but pictures can be too big or too small. So you really have to have an eye for it, an eye for detail. When you look at a paper, you really just take it for granted that it just looks the way it does, but try to imagine having to fit everything in. And then sometimes articles don't go in because there's no room for them. So we have to then plan ahead for the next month. And there's constant planning and editing and writing and rewriting and laying everything out. All the other students in the class are writers. Some of them have been in the class for 2, and one of them has been in the class for 3 years. I've had students take the class for 4 years, and they keep getting credit. And the reason that they like to do that is A, maybe they like to write, and B, they like to write for publication. They like the feeling that someone's reading what they wrote. They like when someone says, hey, that was a great article you wrote. And sometimes their articles may even come up in class, or like their opinion piece. So it's a pretty good feeling to know that A, you're published and you can put that on your resume, and B, that people are actually hearing what you had to say and appreciating it. You don't just turn it into the teacher and get a grade. So everyone's got roles, and everyone's roles increase even if they take the class again as they get more in-depth and interesting articles.
Well, when you think back, what are some of the editions of the newspaper that you think are most memorable?
We generally do 8 a year, but one of them we try to do each year is the senior issue, and that's always special because it's all about seniors, and we feature a lot of seniors and everything about what the seniors do, so that's always special. In addition, we try to do one edition each year that we call our special issue, and that has a theme to it that I call the Journalism 2 students, the people who have been back taking the class again. They come up with it. And we've done a number of those over the years that have turned out to be really fun. Last year's edition was a throwback issue. The whole thing was a throwback issue to the stuff that you enjoyed when you were, say, in elementary school, the games you played with, the TV shows that you liked to watch, the movies that were really big. And that was popular. Everyone loved that one because it had all this stuff that brought you back to being a kid again. And it was fun to write, and it was fun for everyone to read because it just brought back all these memories. That was a special one. So every year our special issue is one that I really like because I don't take charge of what's going to be in it. I leave it up to the students to plan it, and they figure out who's doing what, and they put the whole thing together, and it makes them proud because they've created something really cool. In the past years, we've done other issues on everything going on around Phoenixville and the town. We did like restaurant reviews and reviews of stuff going on that you can go do. So every year we do one special issue, and that's really fun for me.
Well, you've been advising the Purple Press for several years now. What do you like best about it?
Every year, different. Every issue is different. Every day is different. If you were to walk in to the class, it's fairly loud and chaotic, but it's a fun chaotic. Sometimes I never even get to sit down. I'm just running around helping 20 people individually with what they're doing. And everyone's excited to be there. It's not, some classes you don't want to be there, but these people chose it. They like what they're doing. They get into it, and they get to run around and get pictures or do interviews. And then I looked for their creativity, figure out a new puzzle we could put in here, or figure out a cool speak out question to run around the building and ask people about. The energy is high because they're all invested. Everyone cares about it. So I think that it's just fun for me. I mean, that class just flies by because everyone's got something busy going on. Yeah, there's a lot of reading for me to do, but I never read the same thing twice. As an English teacher, getting a group of 30 essays and they're all on the same thing can get a little boring, but everyone's different. Everything is different. And I learn about people in the building. I learn about students and what they do that I would never have known about otherwise. So for me, it's really fun. I love it. And it's 11 years now that we've been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Zattel, for coming down here and talking to us
Absolutely.
about the Purple Press.
Yeah, and thank you for letting us feature you.